that's the word. We'll bridge the gap, create a God affair. Write the vision, make it plain. Generational turnaround is all in God's hands.
Oh no.
Write the vision, make it plain.
Oh shoot.
Communication's the key.
Let me bring you up here.
Build a big bridge.
I gotta get my cord.
Breaking down the walls. Parents and children, we hear your calls. God connection, that's what we need to turn it around. Plant a brand new seed. Open up, let your voices be heard. Communication's the key, that's the word. Listen closely, with empathy you care. We'll bridge the gap, create a God affair. Quality time, let's make memories. Engage as a family, feel the breeze. Respect and kindness, the foundation will lay. Understand it and love.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome. It looks like Miss Judy's laptop just probably died in the process of the beginning of the show. So since her laptop died, I just decided to go ahead and come up and take over until she's able to charge her laptop and come back to the show. So welcome everyone. Again, her laptop just died. So this is something that was of course, not planned, something that's unscheduled. So here we are, Suelo. I'm here, her co-host, and thank you all for coming in to join us. I will allow Miss Judy to go ahead and when she comes back in to announce what the show today is going to be about. And I just really can't wait till she gets back so she can talk about what today's show is going to, what it's going to be like, because it's something that I believe in and something that I walk in my life on a daily. So again, we're just waiting for Miss Judy to get back in here because her laptop apparently was not charged. And so, yeah. So Suelo, that's me. Situations will alter your life's outlook. I always talk about self-care awareness. We talk about generational turnaround back to God, regardless of what people may tell you, regardless of how people may look at you. Just understand we all have a purpose. We all have a reason. We all have a destiny. And when people try to tell you that you are not supposed to do something, just let them know God has told me exactly what I'm supposed to do. That's when people start saying, you're crazy because you start, listening to the inner voice, or some people say it's the second mind that I should have listened to, but we only have one mind. So just just understand we all have that relationship with God, and nobody should be able to stop us. So hopefully we can get Miss Judy back in here any second now, so we can go ahead and continue to talk about when it looks like, and that's her topic, when it looks like whatever it may be, when it looks like it's too hard, when it looks like the obstacles may be too big, but God, when it looks like nobody's coming, just understand that God is always with you. God is always walking with us. When it looks like there's no end, there's always going to be an end. There's always going to be a beginning when it looks like, but we all have our different when it looks like, and we also have our own different processes at the same time. So, like I said, we're just trying to figure out what's going on right now. And, of course, when it looks like that everything is going to go wrong, then that's when something positive happens. So all of the negative things that we may encounter in life, no matter what it looks like, just understand that the same God that was there for us in the beginning And in this, then the previous situation is going to be the same God that's going to be there for us now. It's going to be the same God that's going to always say, you know what? Remember, I'm here. Remember, I was there for you before when everyone else left you. Remember, I'm the one that's going to say, I will never leave nor forsake you. When it looks like nobody's there, just remember, God is always there. When it looks like you want to give up, just remember the blessing is there. The harvest is there. That's the reason why we all have to go through a process. When it looks like it's not going to get better, it's going to get plentiful. No one told me that. I had to experience that. I had to go through the walk. I had to go through every single thing. Like I said, the process of understanding that my life is not a mistake, even though my family tried to tell me that my life was a mistake. It looked like that my life could have been a mistake because of the choices that I made in life. But it was looking like that because of the choices that I made. So I had to switch everything up and give my life back to God and say, hey, God, this is what I need from you. I need you to take the wheel. Take the wheel, control everything, keep going, because I know this is not what it's supposed to look like. So what it looks like for me now is not what it used to look like. What it looks like for me now is not what people said it was going to look like. What they told me is that I wouldn't be on here right now doing exactly what I'm doing. It was a whole bunch of different other things, but what it looks like now is God is working in my life when everyone else counted me out, when the doctors even told me I wouldn't walk again, when I thought it was going to look like I was going to be in this wheelchair for the rest of my life. What it looked like and what it is two totally different things. So with that being said, my wonderful host is back, and y'all, we're gonna go ahead and bring her back up and have her take over. Well,
Uh, when it looks like it looks like everything is gonna go smoothly, okay. When it looks like everything is going to go as planned, then that's when what I call him the trickster. He intervenes, interferes, and so my connection went bad. And so, but I'm here, and my co-host had it. I knew she had it, so I wasn't worried about that. So what we do? What about my? I want to do my prayer.
yes, ma'am.
Got to do my prayer. Here we go. And my daughter told me don't get so close to the screen, so I'm not going to, because I get involved. Okay. Heavenly Father, I come before you with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that every good and perfect gift comes from you. Lord, I desire to leave behind a legacy, and I know Swalo feels the same way. We want to leave a legacy of faith that glorifies you and bless the generations after us. Teach us, O God, to walk in your way, to live a life that reflects you, love, wisdom, and righteousness. Trust, oh my God, let my faith be more than words. Let our let us let us be an example, a light that guides those who come after us. Lord Father, we pray for our children, our family, and all those that we call we are called to influence. May they know you intimately like we do, Father. Trust you completely and follow you wholeheartedly. Let them see in us a faith that is real, unwavering, and filled with grace. Break every generational curse, every cycle of pain, and every stronghold that has kept us, the family, all of us, kept us back, God. Replace fear with faith, doubt with confidence, and struggles with abundance, both spiritually and naturally. Lord, let our words be life giving, our action be inspiring, and our love be undeniable. Help us to speak truth, to encourage, and to build up those who need to know their worth in you. May our legacy be one of wisdom, strength, and a deep, unshakable trust in you, in your promises, Lord. We surrender our plans, our dreams, and our legacy into your hands, knowing that you are the author and the finisher of our faith. May all that we do and all that we leave behind point back to you. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen, amen, amen.
Amen. Thank you for the prayer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for putting us in this place at this time. God, let us, mm, mm, my God. So, what's the topic today? I done asked you about 5 times.
Okay. When it looks like is the
When
topic
it
of the day. When it looks like.
when it looked like it's all over, when it looked like we haven't a clue, when it looked like the storm is not going to subside, what's happening? What? Who? Look, like they say, Ghostbusters. Who do you run to? Well, there's only one that you can depend on. There's only one that no matter what it look like, no matter what time it is, it can be morning, it can be evening, it can be midday. There's never a time that we can't call on God. And you know, let me tell you, hold on, wait a minute. I got something that I want to ask you, Swalo. When it looked like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, remember that it's okay to ask for help. I want you to elaborate on that.
You talking about the asking for help part?
Yes.
Oh yes, it is. It's okay because we can't do everything on our own. We are not built to do life alone. At the same time, we have to understand the people that we can, shouldn't, or better not ask. So that's why my prayer life nowadays is set up way different from what it used to be. because back in the day, I would just go to people and, be like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And then it most likely it was going to be a no. I mean, just be honest. Most likely it was, well, no, I have this going on. No, I'm too busy, however it may be. But now I'm like, okay, Lord, let me pray about it. Let me take it to God and ask him what he wants me to do or who he wants me to ask. Because I thought working on my own programming that was instilled in me, it was supposed to be the people that always help me. But that's not the case. That's not the case. It's somewhere in the Bible where it says, and I'm not for sure exactly where it is, but where we're supposed to even help complete strangers. So sometimes God will place people in your life.
Yes.
Because he knows the people that are in your circle, they're not equipped to get you where you're praying to go. So that's what I said before. I'm like, I would go to these people. I'm going to this person because they can help me. But that's that addition or subtraction. The people are going to add or subtract to the problem or the situation. I'd rather go to God and pray about it so I can reap the harvest, the multiplication, because that's a more peaceful answer when I go to God, because he doesn't come to kill, steal, or destroy. He doesn't come to disrupt. He comes to bring peace and love. So I go to him, and it's a wonderful thing.
And I'm going to go back to where you say, because God, after I had a massive stroke and after I woke up from that coma, God put so many different people that I would not have even saw myself associating with, because I felt like I wasn't cool enough. I felt like I was too old, or I felt like we didn't have anything in common. And a lot of times after, I had the stroke, I felt like more of a burden on people. And I didn't want to slow them down. But those people were the exact people that I needed to start to get confidence in myself. They challenged me to do beyond what I would have been doing. I would have been sitting in that wheelchair. But they challenged me to go up to the park and sit there and sell my books and sell my t-shirts. And then they started picking me up every Saturday to go there. And so that was God's intention. So we got to know that God works through people also. I mean, what do you say about that, Suelo?
I agree with that 2000%. Because you could have a stranger to walk up to you and say, hey, you know what God said, and then once what that person can tell you exactly what God told them to say. And the first thing some people say, well, how do you know my business? It's not about they know your business. They're in tune with the spirit as well. And there's a lot of people that are in tune, but there's so many people that are scared to be in tune because of the programming says, well, when you hear this, oh, it's not right, it's not normal. But that is what gives you peace. That's what sets you free, honestly.
But have you ever had someone that you didn't know, they didn't know you, but they came and gave you a word that you have been praying to God for the answer, and or it'll be on, you watching TV, and that character change his or her role on that show. All of a sudden, they turn into a different character that you relate to.
Mhm.
It's right. Okay, God. Okay, you knew exactly what I needed. You knew what I was into. You knew exactly how to get through to me. And when I was after the stroke in the coma, I needed someone that was different to come into my life. And someone that didn't know anything about me to come into my life and tell me that I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, and how to strengthen what I didn't know about myself. That's, I like to tell everybody that don't fend off everybody that comes into your life because they're a stranger. I just watched something on TV where three people were hit by buses, they were hit by a falling object, they were all in the same close area. And they couldn't, people was like, they were so scared because it was happening randomly. And one man, he helped save the life of these three people that were together. They didn't know him, he didn't know them, but he was in the right place at the right time, and he was there to save their life because it was not their time. So we cannot just look what they say, tell a sheep by its cloak. How does that go, Suelo? We can't tell who is or who isn't just by what they have on or the way they talk or stuff like that. You know what I mean, Suelo?
Yes, ma'am. What is it? What, first off, you can't judge a book by its cover. Uh, what is it? There's another one. You talking about the sheep in wolves' clothing? That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh,
Sheep in wolf's
yes, ma'am.
clothes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I I just I know you've taught me a lot about people and um not knowing about what's happening in these small towns, in these big towns, where people are still going through because they won't leave their off the porch. They won't leave out the town to find out there's more than what that town offers. Can you talk about that to the viewers?
I can just let me know because there's a bunch of sirens outside, and I don't know if you can hear them or not going down the street. Yeah. So some of the things that I've seen, and it's like I'm still seeing it right now in 2025. There's a lot of people that will not leave because of the fear. They um they say that they believe in God. They say that they go to church, they worship and everything, but then the first thing that happens is, well, I can't go to the store by myself. And y'all, this is sad because some people, they won't go to the store by themselves. They have to have somebody with them at all times. Some people, they will not even go on a vacation by themselves. They have to have somebody with them at all times. If these people are not being told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, it's like they don't know. They don't know. What we really need to understand as people is we all have an expiration date. The only person that's not going to leave us is God himself. Really. So if we don't have that relationship, if we don't know to go back to God, if we don't know to pray when things happen, when people leave us, when people forsake us, and like I said, we all have an expiration date, whether they leave on their own or whether it's their expiration date time, they're going to leave. And nobody has to do anything for us except self. I have to change me. I have to love me. I have to make sure that I'm okay. If we keep trying to make everybody else proud instead of making ourselves proud, because I keep hearing grown people my age, 50 and above, I'm still making mama proud. I have to make mama proud, while the whole time they're dying on the inside. Make yourself proud. Respectfully take your life back. It's not about serving two gods or two masters, because God, Jesus Christ, gave us the talents that some people don't want us to use. Some people, mama, daddy, grandmother, grandfather, because they were never capable of using their own talents. So they're going to tell you, especially depending on what time they came up in. Because way back when master said you couldn't, some people are still saying, well, I can't, but master is now mama, daddy, grandmother, grandfather. Master is not the man that used to be master back in the day. So understanding that you can be respectful, use the talent that God gave you so you can leave a legacy. And that's what Miss Judy's talking about. When we use the talent that God has given us, that's what creates as they say, the creative side. That's when the creative comes out in you. That's when you're capable to leave legacies. And like how she said, it's not about money. You could leave a brand. You could leave positivity. You could say, your nieces, nephew, grandkids, whoever. Well, you know what? My uncle, my auntie, they were so positive all the time. That's the legacy that they're going to hold on to. They're going to repeat the positive words that you said. Those are the healing words that Miss Judy wrote. She wrote about in her book. And if we keep putting out the negative, then guess what? It's our own fault. So look in that mirror and say, it's me that's causing the problems, and I'm not going to God like I should. Look, I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times I got a bad back. I'm not going to get on my knees. I'm not going to even play with y'all and say I'm going to get on my knees, because I can't get up. So if I have to lay on my back and pray, if I have to lay on my side and pray, I'm sitting in my wheelchair right now. If I have to sit in my wheelchair and just say, Lord, and I got this thing, I will look up and say, Lord, it's me again. You know, I'm coming for you. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. And then I'll just get deep into it. There's no specific way to talk to God. It's your own relationship. So get in there, get your own relationship, and know that he made you who you are perfectly. Who you are. Love yourself how you are. And when people say that you are not, take that conversation. Look, this is what I tell them. Sorry that you feel that way about yourself, but how I feel about myself is what God says about me. I'm going to do the work that God called me to do, because I was trying to do everybody else's work before. And I had to understand that's not why God put me on this earth. He put me on this earth to do Suelo's work. He didn't put me on this earth to do Miss Judy's work. He didn't put me on this earth to do anybody else's work except for mine. When you learn who God is, you stay in your own lane, you mind your own business, you understand that every single person has purpose and destiny.
Yes, indeed, Suelo. And talking about the legacy, that's a legacy right there. When you teach, especially a child, that what's happening to them is not forever. I know it may look like it right now, may feel like it, look like you lost your best friend, look like you lost everything around you. But when you got that Aunt Vic or that Uncle Charles that can come in and talk to you and make it all better just by quoting the word, just by telling you about their relationship with God. There's a God. It's not your daddy, it's not your mama, it's not your sister or your brother. There's a God who already know what you're going through before you go through it. So if you trust in him, he never leaves you. There's a there's got this people have this fixation that if they don't have money, if they don't have the bag, if they don't have a house in Beverly Hills, I'm just going to throw that out there. If they don't drive this certain car so that they can leave it to someone, which is more than likely a child, or they they have the children so fixated on what they, the mama gonna leave me when she dies, that kids are actually bumping off their parents for what's in the will. And I know that y'all may not want to hear that, but it is a fact. Some of the biggest court cases are that's happening. So stop telling your kids what you got for them. Keep them thinking that God is everything. And think about what God is giving you now, what God is doing for you now. You, yourself. And then you don't have to wait for someone to leave you something. Let that advice that helped you land the career that you've always wanted, let that sink in your mind to be a legacy that you want to remember that person forever. And you're going to remember a person based on what they said and their reputation quicker than you're going to remember that person for that money. Because soon as that money is gone, your thoughts on that person goes with it. But if that person has mm, has left or um, has left you with a memory that you will never ever forget what that person did, then remember that. Start your legacy right now. Start it right now. And with working, helping children, start your legacy with helping a senior citizen, a disabled person. Start that legacy, that reputation, the reputation that you leave. That's what's important. What do you say on that, Suelo?
You know,
How would you like to be your legacy?
oh, Miss Judy, I already know somewhat how it's gonna be. I'm just trying to make it greater. I'm trying to make it the greatest, the bestest, because 30 years into it, I have kids coming up to me saying, thank you, thank you. I still remember when, you did this. I still remember when you said this. I remember when you told me if I did this, this was going to happen. And I went home instead of, hanging with these people. And now they're, in jail or prison, something like that. So I get it. And like I said, I've been doing this my whole life. It's no matter where I've been, even as a child growing up, when my cousin and I, when we would go out, we would say a prayer before we left every single day. And we would always say, we have to do a good deed before we come back in. And if we did not do a good deed, now this is for complete strangers, because this is how we were raised. Again, you don't get blessed. This is how we were raised. Seriously, you don't get blessed by doing things for the people that expect it. You get blessed by helping the strangers, the people that least expect it. So if we met up at the park or something, we would look at each other and we say, did you do your good deed? And if one said yes and the other one said no, we can't go back in until the other one completed their good deed. So we had to go find somebody to do a good deed for that day.
Isn't that beautiful? Yes. Find somebody if somebody, one about in your group did not do their good deed, it's just to be, how old were you then?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, shout out to my cousin Grady too, because it was him. Grady came into my life. I think I was 8, 9 years old ish. No. Maybe 10 or 11. And after that, it stuck with me every single day. So when I go out, I have to do a good deed. Even if I have to speak life into somebody, I have to be positive to others.
Well, that's how we were too. We weren't told that we had to do a good deed, but we were taught that doing good for someone would we'd be blessed. And so, because my auntie, she was a Baptist, um, she wasn't a preacher or a deacon or any of those titles, but she was a believer. And she believed that you do something good for someone just because they need it. And so if you looked over at somebody that didn't have something and you knew that that person needed a drink or was hungry or whatever, you just did that. You go inside in the kitchen and we had some fried chicken, wrap up a chicken leg, and you bring it to the child next door because their parents is working late, and more than likely they were going to bed without anything to eat. And that was just second nature for us because we knew what the families on the street that lived on that street that didn't quite have enough. So that's what we knew. But both situations are very similar, don't you think, Suelo?
Yes, ma'am. But I was looking at the title, what it looked like. So right now, when you sow good seeds, this is what it looked like. When you help people when they least expect it, when you help strangers, when you do what God calls you to do. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, I have the worst luck. No, it's the same. If you sow bad seeds, you reap the bad harvest. If you sow good seeds, you reap the good harvest. Blessings. So when you do the right thing, when it looked like,
When it looked like, how about this? When it looks like you're alone in your struggle, remember that many hearts are willing to walk alongside you. Is that when it looked like your struggle, you're in that struggle alone, and it looked like nobody cares? It's always It's always somebody that cares. And I love that about this country. No matter what it looked like, there's always someone that cares. There's some organization that cares. There's somebody who just waiting for God to send him or her in your direction. And I know for me and for you, Suelo, God has sent us in different people's direction. Do you have a example of that?
oh Lord, I have a lot of them. Um, yeah, let me see. I'll pick this one specific one. Somebody that a mutual friend introduced me to years ago. Met, went out, didn't know what the purpose was, and like 2 or 3 days later, I found out what the purpose was, and I was like, okay, okay. So now, and I was like in the beginning of my spiritual walk and everything, and I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to deal with this? I'm like, okay, so what we do as humans, human nature, we stay in situations too long. we don't know when to get in, do our job, and get out. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, I had to learn at that moment, the time limit and everything. And when I start looking at the whole scenario and the whole situation, I was like, this is a lesson. This is a lesson for me to learn. So let me just get in here, learn what I need to learn, do my job, and then go. Because some people, they probably would have thought about, okay, well, you know what, this is supposed to be a friend, this could be a special type of friend or whatever. But when I recognized that the children were being neglected, I said, it's not about me, it's not about any of these grown people, it's about these children. So when I saw the children were being neglected, we were supposed to be going out like a few days later, and I was like, you know what, y'all go ahead and go out. I'm gonna stay at home with the kids because something messed up just happened, and the kids are feeling some type of way. And if the parents are not staying at home with the kids, what type of love, what type of compassion, what type of nurture are you showing these kids, and what kind of future are they gonna have? So I have a lot of kids that are placed in my life to this very day, and it's been like that for almost 50 years. And I get, and in the beginning I never understood why. I was like, why do I look like a little kid? Why do I have this small body frame? Because when I tell people, I'm like, I'm almost 50, they're like, no, you cannot be. And then I'm out there with the kids. So I'm like, so this is what it is. This is my purpose. Because if I look like my age, honestly, the younger generation, they won't listen. They're gonna be like, oh, you don't. Yeah. So I have to fit in. I have to fit in order for them to be comfortable, in order for them to understand. I do understand. I used to be that child. And matter of fact, I still have the inner child in me. You want to go swing right now? So yeah.
See, again, God is intentional. You have the look that you have, like one of the kids. Yes, you're an adult, but you got the heart of the kid. You have that passion for the kids. And so my door was a revolving door. My kids always had friends that was not able to have the things that they have. And my children always brought those children to our home. My so sometimes they stayed over because it was a safe place and that they knew that they were going to get what they need, that their needs met. And so when it looked like, because from the outside looking in, they look like my kids. They look like they should have everything that they needed, but that wasn't necessary the way. So the whole time that my children was in school, they brought other children to the house, and they would tell me the story, and we did. And so my children, when they got grown, they end up being the same way with their children. My Aunt Vic was the same way. She was the neighborhood babysitter. And so that came from a long line of women and men, because we had uncles and we had grandfathers that were the same way. We were that same breed, and we just had that compassion. And I'm so glad. I know that's not the case in a lot of families, but I am so glad that it was. And my brother dead and gone, but everybody know him. Like you, Suelo, he loved the children. And now he was a big old guy, and they loved him. He was like a teddy bear. It looked like you should have been scared, especially when it opened his mouth and he had that voice, that heavy, heavy voice. But kids the kids can see through you. I love that about, but I know a lot of them fall victims. We know, but their heart, they can feel when you're not right. But how about that, Suelo?
Oh yes, ma'am. They can feel that. And you know what? Wait a minute. Miss Judy went back. Oh, I don't know what just happened.
I did that. Sorry.
Okay, but you know what, Miss Judy, my mother was like you. She was the village mother. Everybody called her mama, mama, mama. Um, but now, see, I said that and I forgot. No, when you went off the stage, it made me kind of. So what? Now, what did you just ask me, Miss Judy?
Well, you know what I was talking about is look, made me forget. Now you made me forget. Okay, we were talking about being the village mother, being my brother. He would come in. He was a guy, a big guy, and you would think that the kids would be afraid of him, but kids
Oh,
know.
the spirit.
Yeah, yeah. And so I am just so glad that I was surrounded by that type of love, that it can that can flow to the next person, and people, and my children became the same type mothers to their children's friends. And so we look what we can do. Imagine if that kept going on, Swalo, if people would want to treat as they've been treated, and I know that can be a bad thing too. So I'm going to leave that alone. But just remember that treat people the way that you want to be treated, and leave a legacy that not how much money you can leave or how many things that you can leave. Character, value, leave your beliefs, that especially if they're the beliefs that's helping, and you got a track record of how they have helped so many people, because I know what you thinking, Swalo. You can't take everybody's beliefs, because we were just talking about sometimes people will pray for you and we don't know what that person's ulterior motive is. But if I don't know them, I don't want you praying for me. Thank you, I appreciate it, but I know how to pray for myself. Is that the way you thinking about it, Swelo?
Actually, I don't want anyone praying for me as long as I'm capable to pray for myself. Now, I will ask somebody to pray with me for a specific situation. Will you pray with
Yes.
me? Because this is a little bit heavy and I may need a little extra help. I need a little extra
Yeah.
this prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Or I used to ask people, I would call, because I was always told God's not gonna listen to you because you a sinner. God don't listen to sinners' prayers. That's what I was told. So I'm calling people, hey, can you pray for me? Can you pray for me? Not even understanding that these people, they were praying for me, all right, but not P-R-A-Y.
And they are praying that you be another person than what God has told you.
They were
That he,
praying Preying on
okay.
my ideas. They were praying on
Oh,
what God told me to do, and I was talking to them about it, and they try to take it and run and use it, but not even understanding that that was what God told me. There's nothing. I just said, oh, this is what I'm going to do.
yeah,
So what God has for you is going to work for you, regardless of who tries to take it. What God
right.
has for me is going to work for me, regardless of who tries to take it. I just talk to God now. And once you find a business partner like Miss Judy and myself, then you talk to your business partner. And
Right.
you talk to only about y'all's business. You don't talk to everybody. There's one person that you talk to everything about, and that's God himself.
Everything. Ooh, look, last night I woke up. It was one of my times to wake up, and my Bible app was playing, and it was on. He will make your enemies your footstool. I said that right there, because we're starting a new quarter, and there's gonna be people who's gonna be after your ideas, Swalo, because just they don't have one of their own. There's gonna be people who's gonna be after my idea because they don't have one of their own. So trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge God, not man, not woman, not anybody, and He will direct your path. So that's where I am. I know today was April Fool. Nobody fooled me today because I already was was on top of it. And when I say what it looked like, it's not what it looked like. It's what you believe that you've already had your one-on-one, your up close and personal talk to God. So I already know what I'm going to be doing this quarter, Suelo. I already know because really he told me last quarter and I didn't quite get it done last quarter, but I am to go into it from one, I'm going from one quarter to the next with the same goal in mind. What about you?
Okay. Well, this quarter, since the sun is going to be out more, I'm actually going to do more volunteering. I'm going to get out. I'm going to do more volunteering. I'm going to do more hands-on in the community. Because I'm always on Clubhouse every Saturday, and sometimes we on there for 4 hours. Sometimes we on there 9 hours. I'm gonna get out and do more because with me getting out, and like I said, I haven't even been here in this town for a year yet, and so I haven't met any of the people. And when I say the people, because the last town I was in, I was helping the homeless man. I opened my door up to him, let him come stay with me before he went in and had his procedure, whatever it was he had the next day. Just so that's what I'm doing. I'm stepping out and handing out more of my puzzles, more of my mugs, my coffee mugs, just to let people know, situations will alter your life's outlook. But just because things look different from what we're used to, that does not mean that we all have to give up. That means that God has something better in store for us. We just need a hand up. We just have to understand, that's my whole thing. Letting people know you don't need a hand out. You need a hand up. Help people up. And, they didn't need help going down, but they needed help coming up.
That's right. And you know what? And for me, I'm looking for sponsors. I am looking for donations because I have a company called Generational Turnaround, and I am a 501c3. So whatever you donate to me, you're going to get a letter that you can claim it for a tax write-off. I'm helping disabled overcomers to write their stories. We can't let them leave this world, this earth. We can't let them leave without leaving. It's a big testimony, is what it is. And I know that there are many, many disabled seniors and I'm really loving working with those that have been incarcerated for whatever, and they're getting ready to get out, so they need a re-entry. I would love to help them write their stories and help be a part of. Some of them have lost their children. Some of them, their children has been awarded to the court or whatever. But to write in that book why and their dreams and their visions for their children in that book, along with whatever happened that put them in prison. But one day, those children are going to be able to read their parents' book. and really know not what people told them, not what the rumor was, but how their parent got over it, because it was the love of their child that helped them to make it through. And that's what I'm believing. That's the story that I'm believing, because I have a nephew on death row. I have two nephews that has 30 years, and I know how they love their children. And I know it's going to be a long time. And I can't say that because I don't know what God has planned. I don't know the whole story. So I'm not going to act like I do, but I do know their love for their children because I was there. So, okay, we got one more. When it looks like, when it looks like, when, when it looks like your past is holding you back, can you focus on lessons learned and the strength you gain from those lessons? That's almost what we're talking about. What say you, Suelo, on that one? When it looks like your past is holding you back, what about the lessons learned and the strength you gained?
Well, the past isn't going to hold you back, not unless you keep living in it and you keep going back to the past. But the past is what and where you get your knowledge, your strength, and everything else that you need to move forward. Your past is what gives you the opportunity not to make the same mistakes again. Your past is the opportunity for you to show that show yourself that, wait a minute, I've learned I can't do this on my own, so I got to go to God. I tried it in the past on my own because I'm speaking from my own self experience. You know that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I thought I was doing it back then. I thought I was living, but I didn't have the peace. I kept having the disruptions, the distractions. Yeah, now I've learned from the past. I know not to answer those phone calls. I know to set those boundaries. I know that now listen to me very, very clearly. I learned that that spirit goes from one person to the next. The only thing I have to do is listen to the words and understand that's the same spirit. That's what I've learned. It's not the people, it's the spirit that goes from different people because I identified that spirit in one person and I didn't take the bait. I didn't fall for it. So now here comes this same spirit. It's saying, okay, well, I'm going to get you on this person because this is a different type of person. This person looks different. The characteristics are different, but the words of the spirit are going to be the same. That's why when I hear those words that I go up and I'm like, I got to go.
Look, but this okay, so that spirit jump from one person to another if it hasn't been successful in bringing you down or stopping you from doing whatever God's put you to do. But when that spirit jumps in someone that's close to you and someone that you trust, how do you know that? How do you handle that? Because you trust this person, but this person is asking you to do something that's kind of you shouldn't do. Now I know you are closer to to God that you have your own relationship. But do you think that that may be what's going on in the country? That spirits are jumping from one person to the next and infiltrating people that people love and trust, and therefore that may be what's happening.
The enemy is out there to do one thing, and that's to destroy. And this
Kill.
really is to destroy. The enemy's job is to destroy. Is to destroy peace, is to destroy happiness, is to destroy love. It's just destruction.
Mhm.
When people don't understand that the worldly things is what's the problem, the worldly things is what was killing me, the worldly things, because I don't want to sit in the house by myself with God and everybody saying, oh, well, you know what, you're lonely. Oh, you know what, you're crazy. I don't care what they think. I don't have to be the in person. I don't need to go to the party, because guess what? When I was going through cancer, stage 4 endometriosis, and now I'm going through the fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, scoliosis, and all this other stuff that I have going on with my spine. God is still sending people. The people that have been closest to me still are saying, oh, you got it. You got it. You know why? Because I've always been the strongest person. But at
Yeah.
some point, the strongest person needs help. You know why? Because we are human. We're not God. We are not God. I said it. So many people,
Yes.
they feel that, if you're the go-to person, I'm gonna go to Miss Judy. Let me call Auntie Judy. Well, let me go to cousin Judy. She's gonna fix everything. Well, we
That's
can only
right.
take so much. We can only take so much. And the thing about it is, people rather go and put their burdens, and I called it exactly that. People will rather put their burdens on you versus go to God and pray, and knowing that He's gonna bring everything through that they need, because one, they don't see Him, and for two, they've never tried faith. But what they have tried is our patience. I don't know if anybody, but they tried our patience, and we keep giving them opportunity. I'm not God, I'm human. Now, if you want to
Yeah.
try somebody's patience, I think you might want to go try God and not me.
You will get a better result, believe me. But people
Yes.
don't want to wait. They want to wait on God's timing. They want satisfaction immediately, but it never hardly turns out that way.
Well,
Mostly it's disappointment that comes.
I was like that. But I thought that the harvest that I was reaping was enough. And maybe at that moment it was enough. But then after that moment was over, what happened? I was right back at square one. Right
Yeah,
back at square one with the people. That's with me running to people. But when I pray about it and I wait for God to send it to me, I have a harvest. And what do you do when you harvest? You go in and you plow everything down in that season. And once that season is over, you living off of everything that you just, for that seasonal harvest. Okay. Then, here comes the season where you're not gonna harvest anything, because now it's winter time. But you're okay. And the next time, once that rain comes around, you're gonna be able to go in and plow your harvest again, because He's giving you the equipment for you to continuously be plentiful and not go, because the people, they're just going to give you what you need at that moment. And like I said, once it's done and over with, what do? You have to keep going back. You have to keep going back. And then they're going to say, well, you know what? You are really getting on my nerves. So when it looks like when it looks like you have nothing, when it looks like everybody's giving up on you, take it back to God. Take it back to God. Because when you take it back to God, He'll give you everything that you need. And guess what else He's going to give you? He's not just going to give you everything else that you need, but He's going to give you the heart to forgive the people that didn't do it for you. Catch that.
Ooh. That's it right there. That's a way to end this podcast. Because forgiveness is the hardest thing for people. Forgiveness. And we know that that's not of God, but it is of a very hard thing to do, is forgive people. And even though we know, and then we'll say, we know them, they don't mean it. I heard that so many times. Sisters have not spoken to each other for years and years because they don't believe that they meant I'm sorry. They don't believe that. I see you raise your hand, Oswego. What did that mean?
No, I'm just saying that was me. I'm guilty of it too. That's why I'm like, me too, me too.
And 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 that's a hard pill to swallow, because when you grow up with someone all your life and somebody trying to tell you that, yes, yes, your sister, your brother, your uncle, they mean that. They mean it. And you're saying, no, that's not my brother. My sister. They don't know who my brother and my sister is. So no, I'm not forgiving them. Well, what would Jesus do? I I hear that all the time. What
Yes.
would Jesus do?
You know, I had a
And I,
friend. I
huh?
had, I have a friend like that in the same situation. 20 something years went by, and all of that is out of the window. God is now in the relationship. They talk now. So it takes time. But this is what I'm gonna say. Everyone doesn't have the time. Don't wait,
Right.
don't lose time thinking that you have time.
I love that. Don't lose time thinking that you have time. And you always say everybody has an expiration date, and we don't know when it is. So we don't know how long we have to get it right. Isn't that right? We don't know.
We don't. We
And we
don't.
don't
God knows.
know. What we don't know is some people don't know where they're going after this life because of the life that they're still in when it's over. I want it. I want to know that I've done all that I can do, that I've helped all that I can help, that I've had a, a personal relationship with God, that I don't need anybody else to tell me where I'm going to go, because my relationship with God has shown me where I'm going to go. Like the man that was on the cross with Jesus. He was a bad man. He had done so much, but he accepted God, Jesus, at that moment where the other prisoner, Jesus knew that he was lying. He was just saying whatever he needed to say to get, you know the story. So right now, all I'm saying is know where, what you're doing, for whom you belong to, and don't believe in, you got one God. Believe in him. So what's the last thing you would like to leave our viewers with, Suelo?
Okay, the last thing I want to leave everybody with today is when it looks like there's no end, even when it looks like there's no beginning, there's an end to the negative and there's a beginning to the positive. Always,
Yeah.
always put your mind to it, stay prayed up. And even when people tell you, I don't think you can, just turn around and say, you know what? I know I can, but that negativity is what I'm removing from my life, and go and walk in your purpose so you can get to your destiny. Because living unhappy, living lonely and miserable, that's not what we're here for. We cannot do this thing called life alone. But sometimes God wants us to get out of our comfort zone and get away from the people. Walk off the porch. Go to a different town. Go to a different city. Go adventure out and see different things. Because if you haven't been out to see anything different, one reason why you may have not, because you've been conditioned to think that that is normal, whatever normal is. That's all I have to say. Love your life on purpose, for your purpose. We all have a purpose. Get out there and work that purpose.
That's right. Get out there and work that purpose, because God has not given us the spirit of fear. So whatever you're fearing, that is not of God. So I pray that today has been better than yesterday, but not as good as tomorrow. I pray that tomorrow will bring forth a double portion of blessing in the form of opportunity that you never saw coming. Opportunity to live, opportunity to love, opportunity to get off the porch and just walk around your neighborhood. You probably don't even know about your own neighborhood because you're staying so close to what you call the fear that's keeping you locked up. Don't fear. Don't fear. Just love. And we will be back Thursday with another generational turnaround back to God. Thank you, Suelo.
Thank you for having me, and everyone stay blessed and stay safe.